Welcome everybody, I'm super happy. Thank you for the introduction. I think for me it's a long time. We didn't have a physical event. I'm a little bit fed up with Zoom, WebEx, and etc. So happy to have you here. I know some familiar faces, but I know a lot of people unknown, so I think that's the objective, to connect today. Objective for me today, first I'm going to introduce myself, even if we had a little presentation. So I'm leading the Denim Center for PVH Europe, so based in Amsterdam. We have two brands, Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. The team, my team, I'm working for them, but more or less, they are denim experts. They are here to play with the best ingredients and to make sure we do sexy jeans, of course, obviously, but also responsible jeans. As Isrit said, responsible regarding the environment and the social impact. That's our role. My role is more how to drive the strategy, sustainable business, and social impact, how we can drive this business together. So that's me. The objective of the session today is really informative, and I think I want to try to achieve three things, very humble. First, to create awareness about circularity and the importance of circularity and how we can unlock the full potential. So I think if you're in the room today, I think you're already convinced about the idea, but I think create awareness has to be also one of the roles we have to do. First one. Second one, we need to be extremely strategic. All of us, not only the brands, not only PVH, but if we really unlock the full potential, we have to be much more strategic. And I will explain what it is, and I try to define what are the priorities we should focus on. Third, it's really to showcase few examples why the denim industry may lead, it's a conditions, this is kind of aspect, and try to inspire other product categories or even other business. That's the objective. And I will conclude with a kind of perspective. What are the next steps? If we look forward, the future is bright. It's not depressive. Yeah? So let's try. I'll try to click the button. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring some numbers. I know there is a lot of numbers flying around regarding circularity, but really to create awareness about the full potential we have. So few numbers, 6.6 million tons. This is the annual consumption of textile and households in 2020 by Europe. So that's the consumption all the consumers in Europe are consuming. At the same time, we are generating per year textile waste, 7 to 7.5 million tons of waste textile. And there is already a few numbers, about 2030, we could reach 9 million tons of textile waste. So it means that we're still increasing over production, over consumption, it doesn't stop. So that's the reality we're going to face. Unfortunately, this less than 1% is fiber-to-fiber recycled. This number exists since 2 years. I think that's been brought by Ellen MacArthur Foundation with the Jeans Redesign Project. So less than 1% is recycled fiber-to-fiber. There is new numbers appearing, and I think there is a McKinsey report recently who said that in 2030, we could reach 18 to 26% of fiber-to-fiber in terms of percentage. So a huge evolution. If we look further, the number on the left side, at the bottom, when the technology, and we're going to talk about technology today, when the maturity will be at the full potential, we could achieve 70%. There is no timeline there, and I think there is a lot of evolution in chemical recycling and mechanical recycling, and I think the combination of these two technologies, we could reach 70%. So the potential is enormous. The journey is going to be long, and the challenges are going to be massive. Yeah. For that, in terms of tackling the challenges, there is a huge capex need to be invested, and that's the 6 to 7 billion euro has to be invested all along across the supply chain to make sure that we are going to arrive to this maturity and also efficiency in this reverse supply chain. So I don't have the details, but I think it's collecting system, sorting system, recycling system. We have to invest massively. But this money, there is a kind of revenue, annual profit that could be generated by this new technology, could be 1.5 to 2.2 billion euro from 2030. And even there is even more optimistic statistic that it could reach 4.5 billion euro. So I think it's not only a business model that we have to prove. Remember, there is an environmental positive impact behind. That's the most important. But we can also generate another revenues. And also the social impact, because there is also a numbers flying, is we could create 15,000 jobs just in Europe in terms of all the different systems. So that's the amazing opportunity we have. But, and by the way, denim represents only 5% of the work textile today in terms of units, not in terms of weight. That's what represents denim today. To tackle that, we need to be extremely strategic. And if we really want to accelerate, we have some homework to do, all of us. So it's a very pretentious slide in one slide, how we could address the different problems or challenges we're going to have. So we define, first there is 3 actors. There is the brands and the industry working together, and you have the policymakers and regional authorities. And I think that's the combination of all this ecosystem, how we are going to put and engage this circular model. Yeah? So we define 12 assignments, 9 for the brands and the industry, 3 for the policymakers. I'm not going to detail all of them, I just want to highlight, for me, what are the most important ones. First one, brands, collaboration, and industry, we need to stimulate the use of recycled fibers in our fabrics. That's #1 priority. We have to do that. So as PVH, as Tommy, we have a fiber strategy just focused on recycling fibers. If you don't drive it from a brand perspective, and if we don't put the pressure on the industry, if we don't stimulate the industry will follow. But we have the responsibility as a brand to really create this stimulation. So the use of recycling fiber, extremely important. So we use waste textile to make new fabrics, very important. Second one, same activity, very different. We have to design for circularity in mind to make sure that the end of life of our product will be extremely easy to disassembly and to put it back in the system. So these 2 activities are in parallel. You have to do at the same time, thinking about the waste and avoid to generate waste in the future and to make sure we take it back very easily. So that's the brand responsibility aligned with the industry. There is many actors in the industry that we need to invest and we need to involve. Last one, for the brands, this one, how we can improve the collecting garments from our consumers. I think there has been many initiatives the last years, but to be honest, I didn't see any brands collaboration, kind of alignment, how we could do better. By the way, this is linked to the next one, to the policymakers. I think they have also a responsibility themselves, how to stimulate regional authorities or at state level or between them, how we could align and to collect more. Today, I think there is a number, we collect only 30 to 35% of textile waste. So we are missing 60 or 70%, lost in the system, lost in the containers or whatever it is, but there is no alignment here. So there is a huge progress, I believe, that we should really focus on that. Last one for the policymakers, I don't know if they're in the room, but another assignment is really how they could help us for the trade agreements and the custom barriers, because we are talking about flow of textile waste moving around intra-Europe, but also outside of Europe. So how we make sure that we break these barriers, because there is some limitation, and how we make this reverse supply chain extremely efficient in terms of logistic. At the end of the day, it's also a logistic problem that we have to face. Yeah? So these are the assignments. Why the denim industry is so specific and why we're a little bit more advanced, so the advantage we could have. First one is really purely product and technical specificities. The fact that we have bigger yarns, I'm not going to do technical here with the spinners, but we can accept more recycling fibers in our blend. It's easier than probably circular knits or whatever. So I think we need to take this advantage for us. Second one, we have a very granular and transparency in our sourcing landscape. We know who is doing what. Vendors, fabric mills, spinners, recyclers, or even farmers for the virgin fiber. So I think we are quite granular. If we compare to other product category, still very gray. So we have this advantage to engage with the industry. Third one, it's a very concentrated industry. If you take the big players, the 20 or 40 big players, it represents already a huge amount of jeans. And I believe scale is going to be the way how we can engage circularity. So the fact that we have a very identified audience, it's easier to engage the whole industry. And linked to that, we have a kind of community spirit. Denim industry is completely separated from the rest of the fashion industry. So we meet very often. There is a good collaboration mindset. There is many competitors in the room here, denimists that I know them, but they are here today. And I think that's a good sign, that we have this community spirit, collaboration mindset. And I believe also in terms of product category, denim has been always the figure pointing the bad student of the classroom, you know, the one at the window at the back. And since 15 years, and I think we have done our homework. From a laundry perspective, there is a lot of progress. So there is a kind of maturity in the denim industry, also to engage sustainability, but to engage circularity. So that's the big advantage for the denim industry. Few initiatives I'm going to engage that we did in Tommy Hilfiger. Recycled denim is mandatory in our fabrics. So today, 75% of 80% of our fabric contains 20% post-consumer recycled cotton. So it's not even a discussion. It's mandatory. All designers, product developers, they know that. So we need to create awareness internally and to make sure we have this guideline extremely clear. Second one we didn't discuss before, product category could be denim. We call it the on-demand laundry. Avoid overproduction, huge inventory in the warehouse. So we could be extremely reactive by finish a garment at the last momentum with raw garments. So we are going to produce what we sold to the customers. And we can be extremely flexible. So these are separate projects, but how we can bring urban factory in Europe to transform the jeans at the last momentum for the consumer. Very important. Denim deal, a very good example about collaboration mindset. First time there is public and private, so Dutch government involved with brands in Netherlands, also stakeholders in the industry working together to use post-consumer recycled cotton in our fabrics. It is unique. This is the only project we are involved where there is a policymaker involved with us. And we build the framework, we build the guidelines together, and we engage the supply chain. We cannot reveal where we are, but we have a target. We have to produce 3 million pairs of jeans by the end of 2023, containing 20% post-consumer recycled cotton. We are in a good way. I think the next numbers, 2021, will be published in a few weeks, so I cannot say. But it's in a good way. But it's a good example. Recycling hub, we are building a recycling hub in Turkey. And I know there is a lot of Turkish people here, representative. But Turkey is very important for us because we want to leverage also all the industrial waste we generate as PVH in Turkey. So there is the post-consumer, very important. But let's not forget that we are generating a lot of pre-industrial or industrial waste that we need also to leverage. So that's a good initiative. Circular design for circularity exists in denim industry since 2 or 3 years. Has been built with the brands and Ellen MacArthur Foundation, so we call it jeans design. So they're already in place. A lot of brands sign up. Are they perfect? No. We can also make them evolve, but this guideline exists, and I think we should take example on the denim product category, and other product category should be also working on their side. Tommy for Life, it's more take back, repair, how we can extend the longevity of our product, and to make sure we can even design from waste. Rental platform, you know, there is many brands in Europe doing that. We are doing now in North America with Tommy. The Gen Z, they have a different feeling about belongings. They're close, so it's a different mindset that we need to explore. And finally, traceability pilot, we believe also we have to be careful and bring technology to make sure we trace recycling fiber from the point we have put in it and to the end of the consumer. Few initiatives. Looking forward, yes. Accelerating collaboration, yeah, so it's nice to have these priorities, but we need to have an alignment between brand and industry. Extremely important. And we should focus not on the 9, probably take only 3. I think we need to be reasonable and not try to chase 10 girlfriends, but at least to have 2 or 3 to make sure we capture. But so the first one for me, it's really to make sure we use cotton recycled in our fibers. Very important. Second one, the global circular guidelines, very important activity. And the third one, the collecting system, is from policymakers, but also from brands. Yeah. But collaboration between brands and industry or alignment, we need also the coordination with policymakers. And I think this is the famous triangle. Policymakers, they have to put also the right guidelines. And we need to discuss with them, and I think there is a panel discussion after, just to make sure there is a good synchronization. Because I sometimes have the feeling the policymaker guidelines are a little bit disconnecting from the industry. And that's the risk. we have to make sure we align all that, because they have a role to stimulate all these different activities. So I put again waste collection, trade agreements, but I think this, if we look at the whole things, they are responsible also to build the frame. And not the carrot and the stick, but really to engage with us. Future could be also collaboration across product categories. I mentioned it. We have textile, it's fashion industry, it's many product categories, so we could really play with different ways. And beyond the fashion industry also, how we could collaborate with furnitures, agriculture waste. There is some circularities beyond the fashion industry. So how we can also create this ecosystem. Yeah? Thank you. I'm on time?
Yeah, there's still time.
Still time.
May I ask a question? Because
Yes.
I'm so curious, because I think it's great that you talk about the strategy, right? It is needed for collaboration. And I was wondering, as a talent recruiter, I'm always looking for the new jobs. Isn't it true that this ecosystem you're talking about would need also leadership? Would that be going organically, or do you feel that there should be like a CEO of ecosystems?
Yeah, you need leadership. You need leadership to the North Star and to this is the direction we have. And you need the good expertise to make sure the operational mode is going to be extremely soft, efficient, and so it's a different. You have different roles. I think there is a leadership, a vision where we have to go, and after you have to have expert on the how to arrive to these steps. Yeah. And I think we need to be little step by little step. What I put, the 12 assignments are big, they are enormous, they are the big equation that we have to solve. But I think we have to focus on the how. And we have to take like a roadmap and take let's go first that. And be strategic for me is that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to also manage that triangle you're talking about.
The dynamic of the triangle
Yeah.
is going to be if we are successful or if we are failing.
Yeah.
So we have all to take our responsibilities. As a brand, the industry, and policymakers in the room, I think there's a coordination of these activities that will be successful.
Yeah, thank you. One question. We have time for one question. Is there a burning question in the audience? Wait a second. Yeah, I'm coming. Would you care to stand up for us all and introduce yourself?
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. I just want to ask, I mean, we're all talking about recycling, okay, but what do you think about the upcycling, which means, I mean, out of the post-consumer garments, there are still some reusable and rewearable ones. So how brands' attitude against these upcyclable products?
Yeah, so I mentioned it
like
very
selling it as vintage, or what is the project for that?
Yeah, so that's on the slide, it was Tommy for life. That's we take back the consumer goods that are defected or whatever, and we try to repair it and put it back on the market. So it can be repairing, refreshing. And what we do now, we piloting, so we don't know if it's going to be scalable. Also, we could even we are redesigning new garments made from waste from our consumers. So 2 polos, we make 1 polos. From different jeans, we make a jacket. So we are exploring different design facilities. So that's more or less what you are saying. But it's very, so we started since, I think, 1.5 years. I'm looking at the back of the room. But we are piloting because the thing, or the scale, it's probably the issue here. How we have to scale that. And where are the skills and what do we do? Because, again, it's logistic. We have the goods in Netherlands and we have to manipulate. It's quite costing, so we need to look at the costing model. But yeah, we're trying. But it's not an easy one, yeah.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you, Nicolas, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Welcome.
Warm applause for you.